Hey there sewing enthusiasts, this tutorial is going to be on how to sew these beautiful cuffed shirts. I already have a video out on how to draft out the pattern of this cuffed shirt. If you haven't seen it, that is the last video I posted on my channel. Please kindly go and check it out before you come to watch this on how to sew these beautiful shirts. For my new subscribers, I want to say thank you very much for clicking on this video. Do not forget to subscribe, and for my returning viewers, you guys are the realest. Now without further ado, let's get right into it. For this tutorial, I have this beautiful almost non-stretchy fabric, and I'll be using my pattern paper to cut this out. Go ahead and put your fabric on fold because you'll be cutting out 2 pieces of this pattern paper. So I'll just go ahead and pin down my pattern paper on my fabric, and I'm going to cut it out. Done with the front piece, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut out the back piece too. Done cutting it out, you should have 2 pieces for the front and 2 pieces for the back. I'll just go ahead and mark on the wrong sides because this fabric is almost similar with the both sides of the fabric. Now I'm going to join my crouch with 1/2 inch for the front, and for the back I'm going to join with 1 inch for my zipper part and 1/2 inch for the crouch cuff part, as you can see on my pattern paper. Now I'm just going to mark that, and I'm going to just connect it so it will be easier for me when I go to my machine to sew it down. So I'm going to connect the 1/2 inch on my crouch cuff and then 1 inch on my zipper. Now I'll go to my machine and I'm going to stitch this down. I'm done stitching it down, and this is what I have. Stitching down 1 inch on the zipper. Do not forget to use a loose stitch to stitch down your zipper part. I've gone ahead to iron this out, and this is how beautiful the back piece is already looking. I've already stitched down the front crouch by 1/2 inch, and I've ironed this out. Now remember from the calculation, for the back waist we added about 3 inches, and which is for the pleat like we said. Now first of all, from the center back, you are going to divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2, and you're going to use a pin and hold that down there, just like you see me doing. And from these 4 inches I marked, that's where I'm going to mark my 3 inches from. Just watch what I'll be doing. And also on the other side of my back waist, I'm also going to pin down 4 inches. So 4 inches there, I'm going to put a pin through. Now I'll just be going over that. You divide your nipple to nipple measurements by 2, and you're going to just mark that on both sides of your back from the center back. Now the next thing you will do is to mark the 3 inches you added for your pleats, which is for the back waist. So I'll just put my pin there, and I'm going to be doing the same thing for the other side of my back. Just to clarify what I just did, from my calculation, as you can see for the back I added 3 inches, and that is what I just took out on both sides of my back. 3 inches here and there. Now what you'll be doing is to take that 3 inches point you marked, fold it into the 4 inches nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 that you got, and then pin it down using one of the pins. If you don't understand, you can take this back to understand what I just did. On this other side, you'll be doing the same thing. Fold it and take it to your nip to nip measurement divided by 2. Remove one pin and just use the other to hold it down. Now we have our back pleats in place facing this way. Now there are 2 ways that you can place your pleats. You can place it either facing inward or facing outwards. Now if you want your pleats facing outwards, you just have to do the same thing you did the first time. So the point where you marked your nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, you fold it and take it to your 3 inch pleat, and then remove one pin and use the other to hold it down, just like I did. And I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side like you see me doing. Now this is what it looks like if you take it outwards. So just go ahead and iron it out. I've ironed mine out, and this is how beautiful it looks. Now the next thing is to stitch down the pleats just to hold them in place. For the front, coming to the waist, we are going to also put our pleats, and we have 4 inches for our pleats on the both sides. Since I have 4 inches, I'm going to share it into 2, and I'm going to have 2 pleats on the front. Coming from the side front, I'm going to pin down 2 inches on this side of the side front, and I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm going to pin down 2 inches, and from these 2 inches, I'm going to mark my first 2 inches pleats. For my first pleat, from these 2 inches I came in by from the side front, I'm going to pin down 2 inches, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing on the other side. Now that we are done with that, the next thing is to create our pleat. I want my pleat facing outward. You can do it either facing inward or outward, but I want mine facing outward towards the side front. So I'm just going to take it to the 2 inches there. I will remove 1 pin and use 1 pin just to hold it down, and I've created my first pleat. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Just watch what I'm doing. Now the first pleats are ready. Now let's do the second one. The distance from the first to the second pleat, I'm going to be using a 1.5 inch distance from the first to the second pleat. So I'm just going to pin down the 1.5 there, and from that 1.5 I'm going to be marking my second pleat. So from that 1.5 I'll pin down my second pleat, which is 2 inches also. I'm also going to fold that into the 1.5 inch distance to create my second pleat, just like you see me doing. Now the second pleat has been created, guys, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I'll first pin down my 1.5 inch distance, and then from there I'll measure my 2 inches for the second pleat, and I'll also pin it down. Then I'll fold my 2 inches like this and take it to the 1.5 I have, remove 1 pin and use the other to hold the both of them together like so. After I was done, this is what my front pleat looks like, and I'm going to go to my machine to stitch the pleats down on the waist. After stitching down my pleats on my waist, for the back this is what it looks like, and then I'm going to show you guys what the front part also looks like. This is what my front looks like. Now just arrange the front and the back piece together, right sides fitting each other, and I'm going to stitch down by 1/2 inch stitching allowance on the sides. I'll also be stitching down this inside part using 1/2 inch. I'm done stitching down the sides and also the crouch part, and this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like for the back, and this is what it looks like for the front. Now that I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to cut out my waistband and also my cuffs. And with the measurement we already made while drafting out the pattern, for my cuff, okay, I have a cuff length of 32 inches and width of 4 inches. Alright, and I'm cutting out 2 of these for the both ties. And for the waistband, I have 35 inches for the waistband and 4 inches for the band height. I've cut out my cuff and my waistband, the cuff by a length of 32 inches. I added 1 extra inch to make it 33 just so I don't run short. I've also ironed interfacing, and for my band I folded in 1/2 inch and I ironed it out, and I've also ironed interfacing to this. I added an extra inch just so I don't run short too. I've loosened out my zipper allowance, and now I'm going to measure out what I have on my waistline. And as you can see, the total of what I have is about 35.5 inches. This is the reason why I said you should always add 1 to 2 inches extra, just so you don't run short. If it's too long, you can always cut it out. It's better than running short. Now I'll be placing my band. This part I didn't fold in by 1/2 inch. I'll be placing it right sides facing each other towards the waist of my short, and I'm going to sew it all the way around. After stitching it down, this is what I have. The next thing I'll be doing is to fold the remaining part of my waistband like so, in such a way that the folded part is in between this straight line here, and I'm going to stitch it down using the stitch in the ditch method. If you don't know this method, don't worry, I'm going to show you exactly how to do this. So I'm just going to put that folded part in between my line, just so when I'm stitching it down, it's also getting the 5 inches. Okay, so now I'm going to take this to my machine and I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to do it. I've pinned this down all the way around. Now let's go to the machine. So the stitch in the ditch method is basically just stitching into the first line you joined your waist and your band with, just like you see me doing. I'm just making sure that my 0.5 inch I folded in is in between this line, just so the band stays in place. If you're not used to this method, just make sure you take your time while doing this. After doing this, this is what I have, guys. This is almost seamless. You can hardly or barely see any threads coming out. This is what I love about the stitch in the ditch method. Now that I'm done fixing the band, the next thing I'll be doing is the cuff. I've also ironed out my shorts on the sides. This is going to help to bring out your shorts neatly, to make your shorts look neat. And now let's go to the cuffs. For the cuffs, I already cut out my cuff band, and what I'm just going to do first of all is to measure out what I have on my cuff. So taking the measurement of what I have on my cuff, please while doing this you need to carefully take the measurements just to get it accurately. So for mine, I have about 32.5 inches. And then I'm going to measure my cuff band to know how many inches I have there. See, I have about 33 inches. This is why I always say add an extra inch or 2 inches just in case. Now I'll be stitching this down using 1/2 inch stitching allowance, and the remaining part to be connected to my cuff. After stitching this down, this is what I have, and the remaining part now I'll be connecting to my cuff. I'll first of all bend this just like you see me doing. Bend this into 2 like so and even it out. Now the next thing I'll be doing is to take this part where I joined the 1/2 inch stitching allowance and put it exactly in my inner seam just like that and stitch it down. Now I'm going to pin this all the way around just to make sure that it fits perfectly. I'm done fixing this and this fits perfectly to my cuff. I'll just stitch it down in my machine by 1/2 inch and I'll do exactly the same thing on the other side. I'm done stitching this down and as you can see the side seams are together neatly. Now our cuff is almost ready. I've done this for the both sides of the leg and this is how beautiful this looks. Now I'm going to be showing you the next thing to do to give that cuff effect. Now what you'll be doing to give that cuff effect is to come to your cuff and take some parts upward just like you see me doing. You separate half to the upper part and half to the lower part. Take your time while doing this, especially if you've not done it before. So you just take some parts upward and some part downward. I hope you really understand what I'm doing. If you don't really understand this, you can just watch what I'm doing and it's going to be really easy for you. So I'm just going to do the cuff all around this part of the tie and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the tie. I'm done pinning down the cuff and this is how it looks. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the other side, and I have also gone ahead to iron this out beautifully. I can leave it like this, but just to make sure that I secure the cuffs in place, I'm going to use the stitch in the ditch method and I'm going to stitch down the inner tie. This stitch in the inner tie, I'm just going to use the stitch in the ditch method just so it's invisible and stitch it down there. I'm just stitching that down using the stitch in the ditch and you can hardly see any stitches. So I'm just going to go ahead and iron this out. Now the next thing we'll be doing is to fix our zipper, and before fixing the zipper you can go ahead and just confirm your round waist measurement to know how many inches you are removing from your waist for the zipper. Normally my waist is 32 inches and what I have here is about 35 inches or 34.5, sorry. The next thing is to fix my zipper. So I'm going to fix my zipper with about 1 inch. After stitching down my zipper, this is what I have. The black zip is not so bad because I was a bit skeptical about using this black zip because I didn't have a zipper to match the color of my shirt. So what I'm going to do now is to fold my zipper and cover it just the way you see me doing, just to bring it out like this and stitch it down at the top part, okay, and to make it look neat like this. I'm also going to do the same thing on this other side. I'll fold it in and take that backwards. I'm not doing that, and this is what I have. This is how beautiful that came out. Now I'll go ahead and iron my shorts and iron out my front and my back pleats neatly. Now I'm done ironing this, and this is how beautiful this came out. I'll go ahead and try it on. This is how beautiful my cuffed shirt came out, guys. I can't wait to rock it out one of these days. I hope this tutorial was really helpful, and I hope you're trying this out soon because I know you also love it. Please do not forget to hit that subscribe button, to like, to comment, and to share. And yes, you can also make suggestions on what you want me to do in the next tutorial. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in my next tutorial.